I'm Drew Galloway.
I'm Rocky Starr.
I'm Lauren LaRue.
Hello, my friends. My name is Matt Seidel, and I'm a former WWE Tag Team Champion.
This is the gold standard Shelton Benjamin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of PWU Tough Talk. With me tonight is the first ever PWU Champion, Supernatural, Johnny Coole, and of course the lovely Mrs. Coole. Introduce yourself.
Thanks for having me. 101, David Johnson. Pleasure to be here. As you mentioned, I'm a bit of a throwback from the old PWU days, first ever champion. Some fans might still see me hanging around at shows. Mostly around nowadays in a training capacity, and I do watch the product, so I've got a lot of opinions, and I'm here to throw them out there to the fans.
Anyone that knows Johnny will know he definitely does have a lot of opinions. So, right, first of all, let's get started. Tell me your history. When you first stepped, your very first step in the training centre, or wherever it was at the time, to your retirement to where you are now, I suppose. Go.
Okay. So, when I first started, PWU wasn't around. The company at the time was UCW. I'll not go too much into UCW, but you can Google it. It's got its own history. Fans can check that out.
Won't find much.
But when I won't find much. But when I started, UCW was pretty much thriving, and I trained for about 2 years with those guys. And the unfortunate thing was, just as I kind of got my break and got on shows, I think we had one show before the company kind of collapsed under its own bloated weight.
So some might say that you perhaps killed UCW with your debut, no?
Well, I'm not saying it was bad, but let's just say the company folded shortly after.
I'm only joking. Right, okay, so PWU, it started just after UCW died. You were their first ever champion. That happened on the debut show, I do believe. What was that all about?
So we had PWU, kind of rose from the ashes of UCW, and I was there with the originals. I would say the original kind of training class of PWU was myself, Damien Corvin, who people heard from last week, guy called Marty Andrews. I think there's still a match or two on YouTube if anyone's interested in him. Toxic Sanchez, who retired a few years ago.
Sanchez. I miss Sanchez.
I miss Sanchez too. He's a good worker. Yourself, JDP, and Tron was more or less the core of the group. The first show was held in Malone Rugby Club, a venue that holds about 50 people at a push. We didn't quite get that number.
And the ring was in the middle of the room with that video camera on the top.
Yeah, no, I think in the original show the video camera thing wasn't there.
Oh, wasn't it?
We had access to 3 sides of the ring originally, and then Malone installed this projector on the roof, and we had to move the ring, so we only had access to 2 sides.
Weren't allowed to use a projector.
Weren't allowed to use a projector. Yeah, it was classic. And when you were in the ring, if you went up for a big suplex, your foot went through the roof, and we got fined like 50 quid a show.
50 quid for a polystyrene tile.
Yeah. So we had a double header show that weekend. It was there was like a daytime show, which I think drew about 20 kids from the local area.
Very pleasant kids as well, can I just add? Nice kid, nicest kids you'll ever meet.
More pleasant than some, yeah. And it was a tournament style with me and Corvin in the first match. I think that was Corvin's first ever match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
His first match was definitely against me.
There've been some training ones. No, you're wrong, because there was a show before UCW died we done in the training hall, which had even less people than this show. Which was, there's a highlight video of that on YouTube. It's all pictures.
Was that not me versus Corbin as well? Anyway,
yes,
though?
That was the first team versus Corbin. But I just went the long way around for a shortcut then.
Yeah, cool. So me and Corbin there, and then the finals came down to me and the aforementioned Marty Andrews, who was like, in all honesty, a good worker. So I'll not bury a big Marty.
Kind of look like Tarzan.
You might kill me.
You just picture him swinging from tree to tree on a vine.
Yeah. Anyway, it would have been good to give him like a monkey, like some little man butler monkey to come to the ring with him.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
So we had the match. I injured my ankle in the match with Corvin and had to kind of work injured through that. So it was kind of like my introduction to wrestling. Won the belt, and I was pretty much involved with, I think it was about 2 years of shows I was involved with. After that, had the belt for maybe about the first year of that, I suppose.
Yeah, probably.
And that's kind of still the early days of PW. I left in what I would still consider the early days. You know what I mean? It hadn't quite hit its stride
Yeah,
yet.
about 2009-ish.
Yeah, I think I started training in 2005 or thereabouts, 2004 maybe. As I say, I would have had my first match in 2007, and then by 2009, yeah, is when I would have left. So yeah, takes us up to there.
So what was it like then? So you talk a wee bit about the training. How was it then compared to what you are doing now up there?
Right. Well, I trained with the guy that trained me mostly. Like as you know yourself, you'd have different people dipping in and out, but mostly it was Bonesaw. So I know he mentioned in last week's show that he invented Irish wrestling.
One or two people might have a different opinion.
Yeah, but he definitely was a big part of it.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. So he trained me. I'll give him credit for that. He's to blame. And where was I going with this? Bonesaw trained me. The training. Yeah, the training was actually, it was pretty hardcore. Most weeks be a lot of fitness kind of stuff, and you had to either get fit or get bullied, basically. It was hard. They would have roster versus trainee matches where it's just getting beat up.
Yeah,
2 hours.
I remember those. Yeah.
So it was pretty hard. A lot of hazing and stuff in these old, like if you read wrestling books or things, you'll hear these old stories, and it was one of those kind of scenarios where, as nowadays, I mean, like what we have going on in PWU Training Centre is like, it's not even comparable to the way I was trained.
Got a ring for one thing.
We've got
as a bonus.
2 rings.
2 rings, yeah.
Two rings, yeah.
No, to be honest, if anyone's listening to this, one of them is up all the time, the other is not. So
Yeah.
just
We've got the 20-foot show
Yeah,
ring that
no
you see
one.
on shows, and you've got the 17-odd footer that's in training. So it's actually a good ring to bump in and stuff. So we've got great training facilities. Training's like 5 nights a week. You have a whole host of people who will dip in and out of training, myself included, and
there's always people standing around sometimes as well, which is good because everyone has a different opinion on things, and nobody's wrong. At that point, once you've got to a certain level, we've got like 6, 7, 8 guys on our roster now who've been working for years, and everyone has a slightly different opinion. So these guys that are coming to train with us, it's not necessarily a bad thing that they can ask different people for advice and different ways to do things.
yeah. And I mean, if I'm teaching anything, it won't just be like the way I've decided to do it. It'll be like I've wrestled in nearly every promotion in Ireland, so it'll be things I've picked up from the veterans of each kind of Irish promotion, and the best of it all that I've picked up, I'll try to pass on, really. So the guys, that's why, and in my opinion, the trainees nowadays are progressing at a much quicker rate. Like it took me 2 years to get on a show.
Yeah.
Average nowadays, what would you say it is?
It's average. Well, I'd say the average would be about a year. I'd say, give or take. Now there's some people that obviously excel a lot faster. That you can see being on a show in 3 months.
I think a lot of guys would get an opportunity of some sort after about 6 months, and then you might not see them again, as you say, for another couple of months, or they might do a different role than they're going to settle into. But it is a much quicker kind of process, and it's a lot more efficient. And with training 5 nights a week, that's what you need to be doing, really.
Well, that's the thing. Even back in the day, you're only training once a week.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you wanted to do something and take it seriously, once a week just isn't enough.
Yeah,
That's why there was more.
It took so long, and some weeks you'd show up and do we just do nothing, or just do press ups or squats for the 2 hours you're there and learn nothing, really.
Yeah, something you could do in your house. No one would do any wrestling.
Yeah, it was hard, to be honest, at training, but I think their idea was to weed out those who weren't serious about it.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you do get a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
You get something you've got to throw yourself into. If you really want to do it, you've got to throw yourself into it. Yeah, it's fine to come down if you just want to do it as a hobby. That's perfectly acceptable. But people can't expect, I suppose, to be stars by
or even
coming
make it on a
training once a
show.
week, or coming once every couple of months or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, let's move on. So tell us why. Was it 2009? You said
About 2009.
Before you
dark day.
grew slightly. Why did you stop? What was it?
Yeah, I kind of stopped wrestling before PW had even got its stride, and I'm gonna shoot here and just go for it. Really, the reason was that we'd been doing shows for a couple of years, I think, and we'd really kind of gotten nowhere. It was real slow progress, which, it's just the way things were. You're taking an activity or a sport like wrestling that's so underground anyway, and trying to make it work, it's going to be slow progress, and that's kind of how it went. But I kind of got to the stage where I've been doing it for a long time. The crowds weren't getting any bigger. The match, like in my opinion, after I dropped the belt, what I was kind of hoping for was a nice little feud or a run with somebody, and I was just, the matches I was getting, I felt were just random spot filler matches, and you're going out there, you're still taking the bumps, you're still kind of getting hurt and injured, and then we're going to go to the old topic of, is it fake here? But anyone who's done it will tell you it's not at all. Like, so you're getting hurt in these matches, and I'm wrestling guys who you never see again. I'm going out there and get my ass kicked by guys who have never been on a show since, and I'm thinking, what was the point in that?
To be fair, there's sometimes you got to do what you got to do to put the show, to make the show better.
Yeah, exactly. But that's something I didn't know at the time. I was kind of, if I kind of knowing if there was a trainee in my position now, or a guy on the roster who'd been there for a few years now, complaining about what I was complaining about then,
Yeah.
I would tell him to wise up.
Yeah.
But as I say, it was years ago, and things were different. So I kind of took my ball and went home. And a lot of people had as well at the time. Everyone knows I'm good friends with Sanchez. He had quit a couple of weeks before me for similar reasons.
Yeah.
So we both kind of hit the road and reassessed things, really.
Yeah, I remember that. Believe it or not, I do have a retirement or two under my belt in my history as well.
Or three.
Maybe.
I don't know what we're up to.
One of them was down to you, by the way, if you remember correctly.
I don't. Do you want to
You don't
put it on
remember?
record? I'm up for it. Go ahead.
The third ever PWU show, I wrestled you for your belt, and you choked me out and done the 3-arm thing. And my arm did not get lifted by the third time, and you beat me, and Stupid Thompson had said that I was going to be let go.
Oh yes, I do remember. I remember this match, but maybe I don't remember this match because this is the infamous Bump from Hell match.
Bump from Hell match, yes.
Yeah, I do remember
A
it.
raucous, is that a word? Raucous crowd of about 15 to 20 people.
Yeah, so I'll tell the story. This was Malone Rugby Club, and I think it was a real bad show. I think there was maybe like 30 people at most.
It was like a day after Christmas as well,
Yeah.
which wasn't great.
And we were on the main event, and by that stage I think like the kids had to go home. So what we were left with was like 15, 20 drunk guys. The match before us, a former roster member, a retired wrestler now, I'm not going to name names, but had gone out and I can't remember what they did. I think they, just generally going too hard in front of 15 people and took a bump in the corner and just bust the rope off.
Yeah.
So we're sitting backstage and someone comes in and is like, Johnny, the rope just broke. And I thought, well, hell, a lot of my offense comes off the ropes. That kind of rules out everything. So hence why I guess I choked you out instead of hitting you with any of my moves.
You did indeed. And then pantsed me, I believe, afterwards, exposing what happened to be a thong.
That seems to be the done thing.
Yeah, that's a
Pantsing
good point.
101.
Interesting fact, just before we started recording this, Johnny informed me that if you search worst wrestling match on YouTube, a couple of hits down, you will find me versus a former wrestler. And I also get pantsed in that match, but don't watch it. It's not worth it. Don't waste your 4 minutes, 39 seconds.
Yeah. So that match, and we kind of went out there, and the crowd were not into it at all. What was left of the crowd weren't into it at all. And I think we kind of, at some point, thought that the harder we go, we'll win them over, And this resulted in me taking I think you were on the rope, or the
I was
what
on
left
the
of the rope.
inside of the apron, but there was like a bottom rope and a top rope. There was no middle rope.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest fella, so I was pretty much just about the size of the top rope.
And I think
Just this big
I
gap.
came at you, and you back body dropped. You dropped and kind of vaulted me onto the
Yeah.
apron, and then I hooked you up like I was going to suplex you out of the ring, and we traded off a few blows or whatever, and you got the better of me and kind of forearmed me, I think, and I took the bump off the apron and landed on the steps.
Yes, on the corner, going lovely into the back of your head. At the time, you had lovely flowing locks.
Yeah.
And I do believe you were pretty much knocked out at that point.
Yeah, it was like a congealment of blood and hair on the steps, and I was just kind of gone with the wind. and I can't remember anything from that point on. So I didn't actually remember the finish. I didn't remember joking about that.
If it makes you feel any better, the 15 drunk guys probably don't remember it either that we're watching.
That makes me feel better.
I enjoyed that match. I thought it was fantastic, but unfortunately there's no video evidence to back that up.
Fortunately, yeah.
Right, so let's move on. What do you think about PWU at the minute?
Right, well, like as you said at the start, everyone knows I've got my opinions. I'm a pretty opinionated guy. I'm loving PW at the minute. People who have been following the shows know last year was a massive year for PW. We had I think Super Show 1 was really Super Show wasn't really the turning point. We had a big run of shows in the Holiday Inn, which drew, I think, double what we had been drawn up to that point. Massive crowds, and there was the matches were getting better as well. The crowds were getting bigger, the matches are getting better. You had this was just before you and JDP pulled the infamous screw job.
Yeah.
I think that was the turning point. So if any of our fans have only been following PW from the Super Show era, just before that happened, you missed out on kind of.
It's on Takedown TV.
It's on the screw job from hell. Check it out on Takedown TV. You've got JDP and 101 pulling off a master stroke, if I do say so myself.
Sometimes you got to do these things to
and
get a bit of attention.
Basically, they screwed over Tucker, who had been feuding with Magico, I believe, for most of the year. He had just won the Irish Junior Heavyweight belt down south. He'd won the belt. I can't remember who he won the belt off up here or when, but Tucker.
No, he hadn't won the belt yet.
He hadn't won it yet?
No, because that screw job happened, and then his first shot at the Irish Junior Heavyweight title was at our next PW show. Not ours at the time, I wasn't there, but the next PW show, and then we done the dog suit thing.
Right, so basically Tucker's not the champ yet. He's the Irish Junior Heavyweight champ. He's having a string of hot matches with Magico. There is, I think, there's you and JDP were kicked out of the company at the time by Thompson in a political move.
Of course.
Tron was beginning his warpath. He was taking out trainees and little girls and everything. So I think that was the big turning point.
Yeah, it just seemed to drastically jump. It wasn't even like there was a set intention. Obviously, we're always wanting to grow bigger, and everyone wants it to get bigger and stronger. But it wasn't like there was a set intention. Okay, we're going to do this, and this is going to be the turning point, and then blah blah blah. It just sort of evolved naturally as well,
organically,
quickly, which was strange.
It did get real big, real quick. But I sit in the kind of the crowd nowadays, for most of the shows, and watch really, and. Like what I've noticed, first of all, the crowd size. The Europa Hotel is a big venue, and we do fill it out every time, which is great. But even at the Holiday Inn, when there were no big names and big American stars, there were like 2/3 of the crowd were still there. It was still 300 people, So I think you can't say it all kind of took off with the Super Shows. It was already expanded massively before then.
The Super Shows were just the next logical step. I assume in the forward movement or whatever you want to call it.
So that's where we are now. We've got the Super Shows have been massively successful, and it's culminated in Al Snow being the PWU champion.
Whoa, that was a bit of a turn up, wasn't it? Don't think anybody's seen that bad boy coming.
No, you just have to go on Facebook and Twitter to see the reactions there. People are falling over themselves to be surprised by that, so that was great.
That was crazy. Do you think, did you think Al Snow, out of everyone that's been over so far, everyone that's challenged Tuck, there's been 3 of them, or there was 3 of them, did you think he was the one that was going to do it? I had 30 years experience, 33 years experience. Experience counts.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense. He's a legend and a world-class wrestler. I mean, I personally thought that Drew in his first, Drew McIntyre, Galloway in his first PW appearance, I thought he was the man to take the belt because he was on a real hot streak as well in Scotland.
It'll be interesting to see what he does when he comes back on Easter Monday.
Yeah, Easter Monday. So, I mean, I think PW now is at a great place. Let's talk about the roster.
The roster,
current
okay.
roster. Cause I've got,
if any roster members are listening, get ready. Johnny's about to shoot on you.
No, I'll be nice. But so you've got tag team champions Phil and Coole.
Best Friends Club.
The Best Friends Club.
Possibly the most over tag team there's ever been in PW.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. Yeah, I mean, for me, my favorite tag team of all time was Los Locos, if you remember.
I do. I think I wrestled them once or twice.
Magico and Sanchez, they had a real hot run with. I think the PW. Let's talk about the tag scene for a minute before we dissect the roster.
Dissect, good choice of words.
You had early days PW. I'm jumping back to my time here. There really was no tag team. There was
tag titles.
Again, yourself and JDP were always up to the Euro-Olympics. There was a team called Painkiller.
Yeah, that was us.
First ever tag team champions?
First ever.
Yeah.
Awarded them by Thompson Jr.
So you guys were given the belts. Didn't actually deservedly give them.
Defended them twice. Never lost them, in fact.
Who can you remember who you defended against?
First defense was against... No, I'm telling a lie. We won a match, and then we were told afterwards the match was for the belts. And then we defended them once. So
against,
the match
do you remember?
Against was Neil Frenzy and Gary Cassidy.
Yes, God, Neil Frenzy. Not naming names. I don't know if he's still around.
I don't know.
Sorry if you are Neil Frenzy. We're not going to talk about it.
Nah, we're not going to badmouth anybody or goodmouth anybody or anything.
Gary Cassidy as well. Gary Cassidy was one of the guys who had wrestled a bunch of times just before I quit, and to be honest, I enjoyed it. But anyway, back to tag teams. So you guys were the tag team in PW, yourself and JDP, and there really wasn't much competition. Nobody was into tag team wrestling at the time, I think.
Even worldwide, no one was that interested in tag team wrestling.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking this was around the time Sanchez was around at this point and Magico wasn't at this point, and Sanchez was in a tag team with somebody else at the time.
Sanchez was. I can't remember the other guy's name, but I don't know. He was with someone, but Sanchez sort of definitely brought Magico in, as far as I remember.
And that's he brought Magico in as around the time we've moved out of Malone Rugby Club and started looking for bigger venues. Balmoral Hotel we had a great run of shows there, really.
A couple of years, and
that's when Sanchez kind of brought Magico in, and that's for me when the tag team division really took off, because after that you started to see team after team kind of show up. Teams from Dublin would show up, and tag team wrestling kind of took off from there. But yeah, up to where we are now, Best Friends Club, probably the most popular tag team in Irish wrestling.
Yeah, I could not argue.
Hold on, actually, another tag team you were in, DJ, Electric something.
Electric Express.
Kev Rocks.
Big shout out to Kev Rocks if he's listening. I love you, Kev.
Yeah, that was you guys were pretty over as well.
Yeah, we were pretty badass.
So
we didn't have a massive run. It was short and sweet. It was short run. So.
And then Kev and Danny Butler.
Yeah, they were
had a good run as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But I think when talking about PWU tag teams, it's Los Locos and Best Friends Club.
Yeah. Okay. Los Locos for longevity, definitely around for a few years, and I wrestled them a few times myself. Didn't have a great record against them, but I'll blame my tag partners at the time. Once was a Japanese guy, once was that French guy, and that was it.
You're outsourcing your work to third world nations.
You can't get good help nowadays, you know.
The rest of the tag scene, you've got the Whippersnappers. I think they're pretty good.
I worked them in their first ever match. They gave me a lot more than I thought they would. I was a little overconfident, shall I say.
Yeah, again, my memory's not great since that stir bump way back.
Way
back when in 2007. I can't remember, but they're a pretty hot team at the minute. And Curtis, he's in training. I think any time I'm around the training centre, he's always there. So, shout out to him for the hard work he's putting in. Other tag teams at the minute. We just had the Wild Stallions.
Hey, whoa. You're forgetting about my tag team?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're kind of a new tag team on the block, the Bad Guys. I'm looking forward to it, because the way I see it now, I'm going to book the territory a bit here. The way I see it is that the Whippersnappers lost the belts. That puts them at the bottom of the running.
Well, you get a rematch. Don't forget to have another rematch.
Okay, well...
If they want it, I'm sure it'll be granted to them.
So Whippersnappers versus Best Friends Club rematch. Okay. After the Whippersnappers Best Friends Club rematch, no matter what way that goes, the way I see it is your guys, the Bad Guys, are next in line, really.
I can't see why not.
So I guess we're looking at either bad guys versus whippersnappers or bad guys versus best friends club.
Either way, I have nothing against any of those four guys, those two teams. As I say, worked the whippersnappers. You found respect for them that night. Of course, I wouldn't admit it until now, but
Off the record, of course.
off the record, yeah. Super entertained by Phil and Biko. How could you not be? You'd be stupid not to be. But yeah, I'd say it's a tough match for either of those two teams. Let's be honest here. Look at what I'm handling with. Not only have we got experience, we have got the single most moldable trainee that has walked into PWU in years. And look at him coming along already. He's a year in. It's going to be like in 3 years.
Yeah, he's a lot of potential. So as you say, you've got JDP leading that team, who's had tag title runs and who's kind of done it all in PWU. So I've wrestled him myself. It was JDP who beat me for the belt way back when.
It was. Back when you wore a bin bag, it looked really good.
In fact, I don't think I ever got my rematch. I think.
Did you ask for it?
I think he beat me in a triple threat match and didn't give me a rematch to the dog. But
so it doesn't sound. You could never do something like that.
Yeah,
Was not
were you his
something
manager at the
that-
time?
No.
Booking this. So yeah, JDP, and then you've got Tim
Stewed.
Steed, yeah, who's the tag team partner. He's got the youth, he's got the ability, he's got potential, and it's just going to explode from there. So I think either way you look at it, no matter who wins, if the best friends club hold on to the belt, the whippersnappers take them back. Either way, the fans are in for some good tag team wrestling. I think the tag team scene is definitely on the.
It's hot, yeah.
On the
it's
up,
hot.
yeah.
Very hot.
Speaking of hot scenes, can we jump next onto the women's division?
Ladies division, hot scenes indeed. Okay, go ahead.
So you've got the ladies division was something that came out of kind of nowhere. The fans have wanted it for so long,
Last February, came back.
and Katie Harvey, our ladies champion.
First ever women's champion in Ireland. Ever.
So
Never
it's-
been an Irish women's champion.
It's safe to say she is the undisputed Irish women's wrestling champion.
Best women's wrestler in Ireland.
And there's an argument being made that she could be the best in the UK because she did beat Pollyanna
Well,
Peppers
this
from
is
England.
true.
fighting from Scotland.
She beat what I believe was the best in the UK.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got the.
Pollyanna's half Welsh, by the way, so
So that's
that
she's
covers
just beat the
the-
whole UK.
Yeah, she beat the
So
whole UK.
Katie's leading the charge there. I think it was great. For my money, I say I watched the last show from ringside, and the ladies' match was the match of the night for me, to be honest.
Yeah, totally, 100% agree.
And that's with Al Snow on the card,
Yeah.
and those guys absolutely tore it up. I think everyone upped their game, but those guys really put in a hell of a performance. And if Katie can, if there's enough women out there willing to fight Katie for that belt, I think the ladies division could become, possibly the main draw on the card for people.
I think what I have been told, I have sources, what I have been told is that the goal is to try and make the PWU women's division the women's division in the UK. They're going to bring in women from everywhere, ladies from everywhere, to get a shot at this. This is just not everyday run-of-the-mill title. I'm told this is going to be.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't really watch a lot of women's wrestling, so I personally don't know who the top women's wrestlers are. But I mean, I wouldn't believe you if you told me that 4 of them weren't in the ring at the last show. The performance those guys put in, they've got to be up there. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Another kind of throwback. There actually have been female wrestlers throughout PW history. It would be remiss of me not to touch on this. They're a footnote really, because the lady wrestlers kind of came and went. And there was never a division. They never fought each other.
No.
It was more or less just you'd have a women's an intergender match as a bit of a sideshow.
Guys beating up on women. Corbin beating up on women.
Corbin mostly.
Mostly
Corbin, if you're listening to
Corbin,
this,
yeah.
you may
woman
be
beater, Corbin.
the greatest wrestler in PW history, but you've probably only fought like two men in that time. I'm not counting myself as one of them. No, I'm joking, Corbin. So there have been women, but there's never been a division like this. So the tag division's hot, the women's division's hot. What else have we got there?
Got the All Ulster.
All
U
Ulster.
division. Well, not you. We've had the All Ulster now since 2012.
Yeah.
I'm a former Ulster champion, you know.
The first for you?
No,
Who was
Tuck
the
had
fir-
the first.
Tucker had the first run, and that's a good sign because Tucker went on from the Ulster to springboard into the PWU title.
Quickly as well.
So it's proof that is there for guys who are just breaking through. There is a stepping stone there for them, and to be honest, since Carl had such a hot run with the Ulster belt last year, taking on Joe Henry, and that became a real highlight of the shows for people. That I think that was at one point more interesting what they were doing than the
It's
PWU
an more exciting division as well because it seems to be more often. It's harder. The guy that's holding that belt is probably one of the harder working guys in the roster because every night he's got most of the time got to defend it in a 4-way, a 3-way. Hell, there was the gauntlet match. There's been a 6-way match. It's never just straight up wrestling.
That belt does have a bit of a history with being defended under sketchy circumstances. You do normally see that with guys having defended in gauntlets, triple threats, 4-ways. So that division's really exciting. What's most exciting about that division for me is that there's more people who are eligible for it. A guy could come right through the door on his first night and take a crack at that belt if he thinks he's ready for it. Whereas you kind of need a good series of wins to get you as far as the PWU title.
Yeah.
So you do have the potential. I think Brian Core is the current
so arrogant.
champion.
What happened to lovely little Brian? He became so arrogant and
he went away to England and came back as a jerk.
Yeah.
He just did. So
Brian, what happened to you? You used to be nice.
yeah, and he's been screwing over Carl the past couple of shows, and now we see Magico in the mix, and their match at the last show was great in my opinion. I watched it from ringside.
Solid.
Super hot match. I'm looking forward to seeing who's next, really, or where that belt goes next.
I have no idea. There seem to be a few people. Obviously, Carl wants it back. I'm sure Magico isn't done yet. He wants it. He has never held the Ulster before. He's only been a tag team wrestler, so I'm sure he'd like to add some more gold to his repertoire. And then you've got other guys floating around. Like take for example, we haven't seen Joe Hendry in a while, former Ulster champion, but that guy is known just to turn up when you least expect it. He just randomly appears sometimes.
I'm going to throw a name in the mix, Rocky Starr.
Rocky Starr, former Ulster champion. Big change of mind for him, change of thought process, so we'll call it.
He made a big impact.
Yeah. Mike could come out of retirement to win it again. It's not unknown.
And then win the retirement.
And then retire straight after. Yeah. Hamish Crawford, former champion.
Yeah, former
1 week, but former champion.
So it seems to go one of two ways. These guys either win this belt and lose it swiftly, or get a good run out of it that kind of makes them, So
like a Luther. He Ulster champion.
Was he held the belt? Yeah.
He lost it to Carl, but straight after that he launched himself. He used that as a platform.
Would you say Luther is for my money? I would say he's the hottest up and comer at the minute.
Yeah, he's came on fast, and he's sort of in the past year he's sort of just appeared out of nowhere almost, and he's totally deserving of it as well. What I said last week when Corbin was here, and you'll probably agree with me, is you can see a lot of similarities between those two.
They're like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, it's the charisma side of it. It's that thing that some people have, some people don't have.
So it makes you wonder when's Luther going to snap.
Well, they're against each other here on Indian night, the 29th of March, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to go down.
So I would say for hottest up and comer, Luther Valentine versus I want to say Rocky Starr in there as well because he's had a good. Is he an up and comer? He's been there for a while.
You can't really call former Ulster champion, former tag team champion.
Yeah.
He's just one step away from the illustrious Triple Crown.
I was thinking about this earlier, hottest up and comer, and this is by no means. This guy's by no means an up and comer, but I think this could be his year. Another one of his years. He's had years before. Tron is currently not the money in the bank, the platinum ticket holder. That is just waiting to explode.
I've known Tron a long time now, and up until this past year, I have never seen Tron he almost looks like he's just lost the plot. You don't see him anymore either,
Yeah, he shows up and does business, and he hasn't cashed in that platinum ticket yet.
I don't know what he's going to do with
that. So that when he does that, that could be Tron. Taking another year. I'm not going to say an up-and-comer because he's dominated for years in the past, but
something's come on with that big man. He's never just going to stay quiet. He never does.
Yeah, so I look forward to that as well. I think I think we've kind of dissected most of the roster there. Is there anyone we forgot?
What about Tuck's runs here? He's had this year has been monsters for him.
It has, yeah. Tuck has kind of since I'm not going to say since Super Show 1, as I said earlier. I think his run started earlier than that. I think it all kind of started with the screw job in the Holiday Inn.
As I said,
The fans
business is business.
Business has been. I mean, I'm not going to judge you for what you did. I was watching from the crowd and I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's what I do nowadays. I watch and I enjoy. So, Tuck, I think that the crowd got behind him massively then, and he used that to kind of, that was his crusade. That was his cause. Really hot run. The match with him, JDP and Drew,
Unbelievable.
possibly match of the year.
Never felt an atmosphere like it.
Yeah, possibly match of the year for me. Then Tuck versus Evan Bourne. I mean, that was
Matt
a dream.
Sydal.
Yeah, Matt Sydal. Sorry, I'm using these kayfabe terms here. That was a dream match for Tuck as well because he's one of his heroes. Like, and he didn't disappoint. He delivered there.
That was outstanding.
The only thing with Tuck that I would wonder now is like he's had such a high intensity run. How long can he go before he burns himself out, crashes? I think Corvin and Bonesaw are here to try and force that crash to happen.
They're trying to pick the bones. Well, there's no bones. They're not even bones. They're trying to be the ones that
They want to bring
put him down.
Yeah, I think it's quite. I think it's pretty obvious that at some point these high impact matches are going to take a toll, and I think they want that to happen sooner. I think they want back into the business and they want to take that spot.
They didn't. You probably heard last week. They denied that to the end of the day. They did not. They're not back from that. This is all theirs anyway. Everything was their idea.
I like their alternate version of history. there were seeds of truth peppered in there, but it was just it was fun to listen to.
Always entertaining fellows. Okay, so here's a question: who's your favorite?
My favorite PWU roster member at the minute.
At the minute.
That's tough. I have a soft spot in my heart for a lot of guys, but it's got to go. Like as I was walking out the door back in 2009, Magico was walking in the door, with Sanchez to form the Los Locos tag team, and we Sanchez brought him into the business. We got to know each other a little bit, and I've enjoyed watching it.
Doesn't speak much English, does that fella?
Apparently not. Yeah, you should hear him outside of shows. He's got a lot to say.
Oh, is he talking to him, is he?
But I've enjoyed his run so far. He's been my favourite for the past load of years in PW.
It's a bit of a rough looking moonsault though.
Rugged.
So I've read.
Yeah, it's sloppy, rugged.
I felt it. It's sore. Surely that's all that matters. Knock me out.
But I enjoy his work. But apart from that, as I say, I've got a soft spot for him. Apart from him, my current favourite. I've always been, as much as I don't like his politics, I've always been a fan of JDP's work. And as I said, that match with Drew, the triple threat.
Yeah, the guy backs up what he says, and he always does.
Yeah, and he's always pushed himself as well. A guy his size.
Last time you ever seen someone that size 360 in himself over the top?
Yeah, or I don't know if fans remember the JDP salt.
JDP salt.
A big.
I remember him doing it to Thompson's youngest son through a kitchen sink.
Yeah, I remember. I know. Do I remember? I think I do remember the kitchen sink. I remember.
You were refereeing.
I was probably reffing, yeah. So that JDP could get away with doing a lot less, and he doesn't. He pushes himself. So as much as I disagree with his antics and his politics.
Hey, you're controversial enough on your own. You gotta understand. You know yourself. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
You get what you want.
I'm not here to judge. Yeah, we've all played the game, So yeah, Magico, JDP, two pretty hot workers, I think, at the minute. Don't know what I think. As I say, JDP's going to go into that tag scene with Phil and Be Cool, or maybe the Whippersnappers, and I'd like to see more Magico Be Core. So.
One more question to wrap us up. In 2 years' time, who's going to be the champion of each division? Right. In your eyes, with the people who are there right now.
2 years' time. We'll start from the top. We'll work our way down. PWU Champion. 2 years' time. I want to say Luther Valentine, but I'm not going to. because I'm still waiting for the implosion of Luther Valentine. I'm still waiting for him to snap,
You know Luther better than some people might think, don't you?
I do, yeah. Me and Luther have a lot of history. I actually went to school with Luther. It's interesting to see, because I kind of got into wrestling straight away as soon as I decided I was in. Whereas Luther kind of, he kind of thought about it and didn't quite make a decision for years, and now he's only just made that decision. So it's good to see him finally at the dance.
Yeah, he threw himself into it head first.
Yeah, that's it. But the candle that burns twice as bright, burns half as long. When is Luther going to snap like a young Tron and go on a killing spree? We just don't know. So for that, my answer is going to be 2 years' time, PWU champion Carl McCaig.
Carl McCaig.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so big. In 2 years' time, he's just going to get bigger and stronger, and with all the experience under his belt. If he's, it's hard to say, because I've seen so many guys come and go.
Yeah, you can't really. I would say all Ulster and tag team as well, but it's going to be another hard one to call in 2 years' time with. People teams are formed and break up all the time.
Well, all Ulster, I could take a stab at all Ulster based not on who's on the roster, but who's in the training academy at the minute. Well,
we'll not name any names of our trainees.
No, but there are some guys there who I think that. It's not going to mean anything to anyone listening, but I think that in 2 years' time, the All Ulster champion is in the training academy, not in the roster.
Not in the roster. Interesting.
Ladies champion, well.
Again, where they're going to be, they're from everywhere.
It could be anyone. It could be an up and comer. It could be somebody from any of the promotions in England. It's going to be, as you said, the ladies division is going to be a national division. It's not. I know there's so many promotions out there and each have their champion, but the PW ladies belt is going to be the ladies belt, so it could be anyone. That's a hard one to call.
Yeah.
Tag teams come and go. If the bad guys win the belts, I see it. When the bad guys win the belts, I don't see anyone taking it off them for a long time. So, based on what I know now,
it would need a super team.
Could be out there somewhere.
Look at the experience, JDP.
Yeah.
The training he's given to Steed, and then don't forget, I'm a genius, and I'm on the outside.
Looking at the roster now, I don't think there's anyone who. I think if they do take the belts, there's the only people who would take them back would be Phil and Coole. Anyone who comes along after that, any up-and-comers, any newcomers, they're not going to have the experience to beat them. So if they go to take the belt, I can see them sticking around for a long time.
Can I just add in one thing? We're talking about the tag team division. I'm thinking back to the last match that we just had against the Penguin and the Truffle Shuffle. Now, I know that's not their real name. That's what everyone knows them as. And I just want to say, to that, what do you call him? Nick?
I love Nick.
I am going to strangle you if I ever see you again. Just to let you know.
Can I just interject? If I want to rename Big Chris from the Truff. Big Chris to me, you've got James as the Penguin. Everyone knows him as that. Big Chris. Doesn't he really remind you of Chris Griffin from Family Guy? Stick a red cap on him, blue t-shirt. That guy will sell tickets,
So if anyone's listening to this, do one of them meme things to see if it actually works. Put the orange hat on him, the blue t-shirt and the jeans, and let's see if it does actually work.
Post it on the PW Facebook. Big Chris from Chris and James, Systematic Destruction. I want to see him as Chris Griffin on a meme. Make it happen. Go viral. Sell t-shirts. I want to throw this out there for the tag team division though. PW have been bringing in big stars. Al Snow's our champion, former WWE tag team champion, Harper champion, European champion. He's now PWU champion. You can add that to the record.
Biggest title he's ever held, some would say.
Yeah. I mean, he's been plugging it all over Twitter. He's proud to hold that belt.
He wouldn't be.
Got Shelton Benjamin, former tag team partner with Kurt Angle, former Intercontinental champion, former tag team champion. Former Ring of Honor champion, is he? Possibly.
I'm not sure.
No, well, he's not just, his run isn't just limited to WWE. He is hot in Japan, hot in the Indies. Shelton Benjamin.
Tron is pissed when he found out he was coming back.
I'd like to see a rematch, to be honest.
Yeah, so would I.
But we've got Al Snow, Shelton Benjamin, Drew McIntyre / Galloway. What's he go by? Is it Galloway?
His name's Drew Galloway.
Drew Galloway. Real name.
It's 100% real.
Drew. What I want to say for the tag team division in 2 years' time, I'd like to see an import team take the belts.
Team?
Yeah, if the bad guys take the belts, maybe the only people who could dethrone them, would be somebody like the Young Bucks or somebody from Ring of Honor. You know.
Yeah, just I don't know. It's up to whoever books these guys in.
Yeah,
I
let's
suppose.
see some.
No doubt
matches.
if we do, I'm putting myself in as part of it. We win the tag team titles. No doubt that we'll probably annoy Thompson a wee bit. And then we kind of got over our hatred of him, you know. We kind of see we're just bygones be bygones and all that, but it's still fun to wind them up, don't get me wrong. So he'll probably get annoyed and bring someone in, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, Terry T. How can we forget about Terry T? He's always around. He's a controversial guy. Love him or hate him. You know, he's the boss, and
He's been the boss for a lot. He was the boss of UCW as well.
he has. He's had his moment. I felt bad for Terry throughout the years. He's had Tron out his throat, taking his company. He's had you and JDP. You know, he's had a rough run of things.
I've never had anything personal against Thompson. Neither is JDP. We just don't always agree with his business decisions.
Back in the day, you had Sanchez threatening to bust him up outside Rolling Rugby Club. Poor Terry gets a hard time, but
his children too get beat up a lot.
they do. And Andy not so much
Anymore.
He hides behind his desk.
Yeah, he's smart.
And the younger Thompson children they took. He's gone.
Yeah.
Possibly
we'll not talk about him. He's alive.
Alive and well. Good
Alive
to hear,
and well.
he took a beating throughout
He's some horrible.
his short run. He took a beating. But yeah, Terry wants to bring in. I think if the bad guys do win those belts, Terry will have something to say about it, as he always does. Controversial figure. He knows what's best for business.
Debatable by me.
By some. If my prediction's right, Terry will bring in teams to take the belts back, I think. So, yeah, hot topics, really.
There you go. Well, we'll wrap up on that. Just want to say thank you very much, Johnny Coole, and your always insightful words. You want to give one last sentence to people? I'll let you do the sign-off.
Well, guys, what I would say is just keep watching the product, keep buying tickets at shows, keep buying T-shirts, and if you are interested in wrestling, check out Pro Wrestling Ulster website, Facebook for training details. I'm always at the training centre. The whole team of trainers is always there. Check it out and keep it real.